Good morning and welcome to the family service for Earth Day and for the month of April. Let's begin by standing and doing 3 prostrations together. If a prostration is not available to you, please just do a standing bow. Actually, I think standing bows are probably better given how packed in we are. So being aware of every movement of your body, bringing your mind into your body, 3 slow bows. And now we go for refuge. Please repeat after me. I go to the Buddha.
I go to the Buddha
As my refuge.
as my refuge.
I go to the Dharma.
I go to the Dharma
As my refuge.
as my refuge.
I go to the Sangha.
I go to the Sangha
As my refuge.
as my refuge.
Please be seated. We'll begin with a short meditation. Please sit in a comfortable and stable way. I will ring the bell. And please bring everything you have, all of your mind, all of your imagination, all of your body, to listening to the sound. And when you can't hear the sound of the bell anymore, please raise your hand. Good listening. Good listening, good practice. So I have a story to tell you. Maybe I need the mic. Do I need the mic? I can make a lot of noise if I want to. Well, it's turned on, but it's not really picking up, so. So I'll just make a lot of noise. I don't need no microphone. So I want to tell you a story that happened in the UP a very, very long time ago. Way up top, everybody knows where the UP is. There are lots of forests up there, lots of mountains, lots of nature, and lots of copper. So long, long time ago, imagine there are just miles and miles of trees, as far as anybody can see. And this is before there were a lot of people. There were some people, but really, there's mostly living in the forest. There's all those trees. And then there's mosses, and mushrooms, lichens, ferns, and there's deer and bears and raccoons and opossums and wolverines and mice, rats, and there's ants and mosquitoes and snakes and frogs. And then up in the trees, there's woodpeckers, there's vireos, there's robins and red-tailed hawks and Cooper's hawks and eagles and bats. So all those creatures are living in this big, beautiful forest. And it's summer, so imagine it's summer and it's been very, very dry. And everybody's thirsty. And sometimes when it's very, very dry in summer, there's lightning. And so there was a lightning strike. And from that lightning strike was born a little spark. And since everything was dry, that little spark turned into a flame. And then that flame turned into a fire. Way up in the trees, there was a red-headed woodpecker. And she sees the fire. She sees it start. And she thinks, this will be awful for all of us. The forest is our home. This will be really bad. So she starts flying, and she flies out to Lake Superior. And she dives into Lake Superior and gets herself totally wet. And she flies back to the fire. She shakes her wings. And there's a little sizzle, and then the flames come in. So she flies back to Lake Superior, and she dives in and comes up all wet. And she flies back to the fire, which has gotten bigger. She shakes her wings. And there's a sizzle. And then the flames come back. So she flies back to Lake Superior and she dives in and she gets more water this time. She cups her wings so that she can get as much water as she can, and she flies back. And the fire's bigger now. She keeps going back to Lake Superior, flapping her wings, trying to put the fire out, going back. And there's more fire every time. And there's more smoke. And her eyes are starting to hurt. And on one trip, she comes so close to the fire, shaking her wings, because she's trying to get the water on it. Right? So she's close. So she singes her wings. But she keeps going. And way up on the mountaintop, the king of the eagles sees her doing this. And he flies down. And he stops her and says, hey, woodpecker, what do you do? This is a crazy thing to do. You know you can't put it out. It's just you. And plus, you're getting tired, right? Don't you want to rest? And the woodpecker says, no, there's a fire. So the eagle flies with her and watches her. And then after a couple of trips, the eagle thinks, yeah, okay. And the eagle dives into the water and gets himself all wet and flies back and comes his wings.
And so now it's the eagle and the woodpecker. And then the eagle calls out, and that eagle, what's the noise an eagle makes? Ah! Something like that?
No.
What sound does an eagle make?
No, that's a good question.
We don't know.
Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that's the sound. That sounded good. Who did that? Do it again. The king of the eagle cries out like, and all the eagles, all of them, come join the red-headed woodpecker and the king of the eagles, and they're all going out to the lake, and they're all scooping up the water with their wings, and they're all coming back, and the fire is still going. And then the woodpecker calls out to her woodpecker family, and they all come. And then the hawks hear it, and the Cooper's hawks, and the red-tailed hawks, and they all come. Even the little bitty sparrows, who really can't, like, how much water can a sparrow get on their wings? Not much, not much. And the chickadees go, hey, sweetie, hey, sweetie. And they all go out to Lake Superior, and they all dive under the water, and they get some water on their wings, and they come back, and they shake. And you know what? Eventually, they keep doing this, and the fires start sizzling, and the flames start going down. And they keep flying, and they keep flying, and they keep shaking until the fire goes out. Yay. Total yay. And it's still steaming, you know, and there are ashes everywhere. And the ground is warm, but the air is cool now, and there aren't any flames. And all the birds breathe a big sigh of relief, and all the animals come out, and they see the birds, and they all make a little animal now. And then that spring, after all of this gets, you know, because the ashes are good compost. So in the spring, after that hot summer, when the forest comes back, and there are more ferns, and there's more moss, and there's more lichens, and there are more little baby rabbits, and more little chipmunks, because the compost made the earth happy. But it's all because of that one little red-headed woodpecker. And so the animals had a great big party for the birds, and the birds had a great big party for the red-headed woodpecker, because one little bird cared about where she lived, and she cared about the other creatures that she shared that place with. And she did something really hard, and other people thought it was silly, but then they didn't, and they joined her, and together they all made the forest a better place. And that is the end of the story. And now the kids are going to go do something fun.
Yeah,
Kid Masters, what are you doing?
so everyone who's here for the family service, there's no mindful parenting group today, so parents can stay for the service, and we'll meet with the kids out in front of the house. And are we going to leave early, or I think some people are,
Some folks are leaving
but I
at
would like
11.
to stay until the end of the service.
Yeah.
And hang out with any kids that are,
Yeah, we've got a coloring activity going on in the basement.
got some seeds to plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Please stand, and as you stand, please express your gratitude to your mat and cushion by smoothing out the mat and fluffing up the cushion. We will first go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in Sino-Korean. We've done it once before, but it is really good to remember that these refuges are always here and we can always go to them. So we will go to them again. First in Sino-Korean and then again in English. If you do not know the chant in Sino-Korean, just once you get the sense of it, throw your voice in. It's a sound practice. And now in English, please repeat after me. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
And realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
And transform this world into awakened lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into awakened lands unimpeded.
Please be seated. That would explain why I'm not listening. Good morning, beautiful Sangha.
Good morning.
Is it working?
Is it working?
Good morning, all. I've been worrying about this Dharma talk for at least 2 weeks. The Earth Day Dharma talk is a really hard assignment right now, which is why I've been worrying about it. My own karmic load, which is heavy, drags me toward, let's say despair and helpless rage about the earth. And so for the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking, how can I teach when I so desperately need to be taught myself? But I said I'd do it. So really feeling that I needed to be taught. What I do when I feel that I need to be taught is I go to the Buddha. That's what I do. So I went to the teachings, and specifically to the third Dharma talk that the Buddha is said to have given. It's the Adita Pariyaya Sutta, also known in English as the Fire Sermon. It begins like this. Everything is on fire. Yeah. Everything is on fire, it begins. And what is the everything that is on fire? Buddha says. Here's what he says after that. The I is on fire. Whatever there is that arises from contact by the I, experienced as pleasure, as pain, or neither pleasure nor pain, that too is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of passion, with the fire of aversion, with the fire of delusion. And so it continues through the senses. In Buddhism, there are not 5 senses, but 6. And the Buddha goes through each one in the same way. The ear is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of passion, the fire of aversion, the fire of delusion. The nose is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of aversion, on fire with the fire of passion, on fire with the fire of delusion. The tongue is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of passion, on fire with the fire of aversion, on fire with the fire of delusion. The body is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of passion, on fire with the fire of delusion, on fire with the fire of aversion. And finally, the mind is on fire. On fire with what? On fire with the fire of passion, on fire with the fire of aversion, on fire with the fire of delusion. So my 6 senses are on fire. In addition to the world, my 6 senses are on fire. I ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. And they're burning with the flammable poisons. In Buddhism, they're called the three poisons. So we're mixing our metaphor here. But these are poisons that are flammable. Greed, we usually say, in our, at least around here, we usually translate the three poisons as greed, hatred, and delusion. In this translation of the fire sermon, greed is rendered as passion. Hatred is rendered as aversion. And delusion, well, delusion is delusion. And delusion is the fantasy that I am a sovereign individual, independent of all other beings. Aversion, hatred being pushing away. That's not me. I won't have that. I don't want that. And greed, well, the writer Andrew Olendzki, in a little essay about the fire sermon, says this about the sermon and about greed in particular. He says, there is not a single problem we face as human beings, other than the tectonic, earthquakes, the astronomical, meteor strikes, or the existential, aging and death. There is not a single problem beside those that we face as human beings that does not find its origin in greed, hatred, and delusion, whether of people or of their institutions. Close quote.
Excuse us, we are going through a memorial service.
We don't have to look far in the world around us to see, and maybe we don't have to look far inside ourselves to see it. And we don't have to think hard about how they're driving the climate crisis that we have made ourselves. Olendzki, here's Olendzki again. This is a longer quote. He says, like a fire, greed is more a process than a thing. It is a state of combustion, the activity of consumption, the procedure by means of which organic resources are quickly reduced to a heap of ash. It is insatiable by nature. Since the moment one desire is gratified, another flares up, demanding also to be sated. Greed drives an unquenchable compulsion to consume, the guiding hand of our economic system. As it burns, it throws off a compelling light, dazzling us with the pleasure of its shapes and colors. We delight in playing with this fire. That's the end of the quote. I have another story for you. This is story day. The Lotus Sutra has a really great story about playing with fire. I'm going to tell it to you kind of the way I told the kids' story. I'm going to update it a little as I tell it. So sutra purists among us, please pardon me. There's a very rich family, and they live in this old house out in the country. The parents have lots of money and lots of kids. And they have lots of money to ensure that they can give those kids everything they want. They can provide good food. They can provide great entertainment for the kids. But they haven't really kept up the house. They've been so focused on good food and good travel and good entertainment for the kids. So one day, the rich family's power needs
for all their entertainment, crash the electrical system in the house. You can tell I'm making part of this up. Their power needs crash the electrical system, and there's a fire. Fire starts. And the family, the mom and the dad, grab the pets and run outside. And once they're outside, they look around for the kids and they don't see the kids, so they start yelling for the kids. And the fire is like taking over the house. And they're yelling for the kids, come out. The house is on fire. And the kids are really involved with playing. So they say, oh, yeah, in a minute. And the fire gets worse. And the mom and dad they can't go back in because the fire is taking over the house. So they yell again. They yell in through the window. In fact, this time they're really screaming. And they scream, come out! The house is on fire. You are going to die. Come out. And the kids say, wait, let me finish this level. Let me finish this video. Oh, I've got to finish this book. No, hang on, let me finish this chapter. I'll be right out. Okay, the kids, of course, you see where this is going, right? The kids is us. The kids is me. I'm not rabbit holing on my phone or gaming. Those aren't my vices. But I've got vices. And I am so involved in my own shit that I hear that there's a fire going on. And what I do is I get tangled up in my despair and my rage, my karmically overdetermined despair and rage. And it's easier, and given the chaos of the world, it just feels better to keep doing what I've always done, which is despair. It's easier to do that than to make the changes that I need to make to put out the fire. So in the Lotus Sutra, and of course, remember, I'm paraphrasing, apologies to all the translators who have worked really, really hard to translate it exactly as it's been transmitted to us. The parents see that the only way that they can get the kids out of the house is to promise the kids something that the kids will think is even better. So that's what they do. They promise them the best toys ever. And it works. The kids come out. The family is saved. All the pets are saved. The house burns down. And the kids come out and they are expecting the best toys ever. But what they get, and here's the parents are kind of flexing one of the precepts not to lie, because the parents actually weren't going to give them toys. What they were going to give the kids is teaching. And a teaching that will put an end to suffering. Which actually is better than toys. So the fire sermon, now I'm switching back to the fire sermon. The fire sermon puts that teaching this way. Seeing that the six senses, which you remember are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, seeing that the six senses are all on fire with greed, hatred, and delusion. And the Buddha says, I'm quoting, with sorrows, lamentations, pains, distresses, and despairs. He's talking to me. The well-instructed person learns not to cling to the products of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and not to cling to pleasure or to pain or to neither pleasure nor pain. And then with this not clinging, the fire sermon says, with this not clinging comes liberation. So we're out of the burning house and into the open air.
where we can breathe and think clearly enough so that we can not just escape the fire, but actually be part of putting it out. So how exactly, according to the teachings, do we learn not to cling to the products of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind? Well, meditation, for starters. In meditation, we learn, or I'll speak for myself, I've learned. In meditation, I watch myself. I watch my mind, I watch my body. And I watch myself get involved in the products of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. I watch the flames of greed. I want. Aversion, I hate. And delusion, me, 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 me. I watch those fires come up. I watch my mind feed them with the old newspaper of worry and resentment and all that other stuff that I know very well feeds those fires and that I used to feed those fires. But slowly I get better. I have gotten better at just seeing the flames arise instead of feeding them. Or seeing the flames arise and feeding them for a while and then thinking, wait a minute, Tom-san, you're feeding that. Come back to your breath. Come back to your Huadu. Come back to your butt on the cushion.